Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about pop culture, news, entertainment, gaming news, movie reviews, TV reviews, and of course, we have a wonderful panel of people here with us today. With us is, first of all, Dred Roberts, the co host of this show. How's it going,
Hello.
Dred?
Hello. Glad to be here. Nice to see you all.
And we had Sean, and we seem to have lost him. But we also have our wonderful panel of people, which is Professor R2. That's our panel. Our panel is Professor R2. How's it going, man?
Hello. Greetings.
I love that.
Greetings.
That
That
little R2
is
sounds
good.
great.
That is good. We did have Sean Crummell. It was the quickest appearance ever made on a show. He came and he left. I don't know if anybody else saw him except for me, actually.
Yeah, I saw him in there. Maybe he'll be back in a moment.
Maybe it could be an internet thing, but
We have no image, by the way.
That is a good point. That is a good point. Oh, and wait, we're missing R2.
Boom.
There we go.
That's good. There's no I in team. That's why it's good that we're a team where somebody, but I didn't mean to do the thing where I'm like big and everybody's small.
Nah, it's fine.
I don't know how to fix this.
I think it's good where it is, man. I think it makes perfect sense.
We're good.
First of all, thank you, Scribelight, for saying good evening. All have a great show. Scribelight is great. By the way, if you haven't checked out his channel, you should. He's with me sometimes on Midnight's Edge After Dark. Really good guy. And Kivo is here, which is always good. And Sean is a real man of mystery. But maybe he'll be back, as we said. In any case, we're here today. And, of course, we have the Acolyte episode 7. And for those of you that were hoping that we have watched this episode and we would do a reaction to it, well, you're in luck. I don't know if you're in luck in the sense that it's a good episode, but you're in luck that we saw it, and maybe we can at least laugh at it a bit because, in my opinion, it was pretty terrible.
Yeah, and hopefully you won't die of cringe like the witches in the episode.
Man, this episode, this... let me look for a second. Let me try to share it. Now, if I share it, I think that it's going to... I think that if I share it, it'll put us on the bottom of the screen.
Boom.
Does it work?
There we go.
All right. Well, we start off this episode. There's, of course, a recap from... Wait, I think Sean is back. He is.
Boom.
He's back and better than ever.
What up, Sean?
Oh, there we go.
Hey, Sean. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Sean, you're just in time for us to review and react to episode 7 of The Acolyte, which we're gonna. And I know you basically just listened to our explanation, and you haven't seen the episode, but that's fine because didn't really miss much except for a bunch of dumb crap. So in any case, we start off Brendok 16 years earlier. I felt like this planet they were trying to go for an Endor vibe. I don't know if the guys thought the same.
I love there's clearly some sort of a ritual site or something in there. It doesn't look like it's just trees. It looks like it's some sort of, I don't know.
Is that supposed to be trees?
Stonehenge or something, maybe down there on the
maybe something like that. But when you see them kind of sitting in the planet, it feels like they were going for an Endor, especially with those like there were moments that I was thinking to myself, they really wanted this to be Endor. That's what I thought, at least.
I thought it was also very interesting that they decided not to actually frame this inside of the characters actually having a conversation, because we've been told, like, I think 3 or 4 times, Souls, I'm going to tell you what happened. I'm going to tell you the truth. Let me explain, whatever. We've been told multiple times he's going to explain what happened back then, but then they don't even frame it in that device. They just throw us into 16 years earlier. And we basically get a new episode that's about 80% recycled content by volume.
I couldn't stand that. The fact that they made us watch this crap over again, that's unforgivable. That's unforgivable. I already saw this crap once. I thought to myself, I when I saw this, I said to myself, I hope that the whole episode they're not going to be doing this because this is awful. And then they did it.
Yeah.
Yep.
They went there. So basically, they're on this planet. We're seeing it from another perspective. This isn't a Tarantino movie, you know. In Tarantino movie, you see things from a few different perspectives. It's interesting. There's nothing interesting. There's nothing that justifies this type of storytelling. They haven't earned it, if that makes any sense.
No, and it's definitely not Rashomon either.
It's not Rashomon. Yeah, this is just embarrassing. And that we need to see Saul with a creepy uncle in the forest again,
and his Beatles wig or whatever it is he's got on there.
And if they want,
the Justin Bieber haircut.
Yeah,
they didn't even de-age these actors. They look maybe even older here.
I did kind of notice. It seemed like Lee Jung Jae, who Saul. It seemed like his accent was a little bit thicker. I think this may have been shot earlier on than some of the other footage, but maybe it was just something I picked up. Maybe it's
much more pronounced when he's saying
it did.
Right.
Yeah. But apparently we see that the Jedi are they're like members of Starfleet now. They're flying off to planets to look at force anomalies or whatever using metal detectors.
That was so it was so weird. Why were they here?
Well, they're not going to sit and like meditate or feel the force to find what's going on. No, they have metal detectors.
And again, the Wookiee Jedi thing is so stupid. I already thought we got rid of that, and now it's back. The Wookiee Jedi.
Yeah, and Saul finds some peat moss and some interesting rocks in the river, whatnot.
It's very Star Wars.
Yeah.
And this kind of discount Anakin, I don't know, like a douchey Anakin type of. Well, what are they going with this guy?
I do not know. That is the worst wig ever. And, when we saw him previously, he's, of course, the one who decided to self-delete when he was just apparently the youngest old man in the world or the oldest young man. I'm not sure. But yeah, he had that terrible beard that made him look like one of the pigs from Angry Birds. Just awful.
Sean, are you excited about what we're looking at?
I'm honestly shocked that this show is still going on.
We got one more.
We got one more episode. You're not going to believe what's going to happen, what you're going to witness here. God. So here at night, the four Jedis, which is Trinity, Squid Games, douchey Anakin, Discount, and the Wookiee Jedi are at this fireplace. And what's going on here? Remind me. I think the douchey Anakin wants to go back to Coruscant. Or
yes. First, we get warned that you should not insult a Wookiee's cooking, because he'll tear your arms out of your sockets if you don't like it. So,
they're reinforcing that trope of women writers not being able to not have people eating in a scene.
Yeah.
Stop misunderstanding the Wookiee white man.
So it says they're here on a mission. In the previous episodes, we were told they were stationed there. Not sure how being stationed somewhere and being on a mission is the same thing, but whatever. But here we're told that the reason they're here is that they are looking for a vergence in the Force, and that the planet previously had been barren, like all the life had been wiped off of it because of some sort of hyperspace accident. And so now that there's life here, like, how does that happen? How does life come back like that? Well, apparently they think that there may be some sort of powerful vergence, whatever that means, in the Force that has caused this, which is why they're investigating. So,
but
dumb.
In the prequels,
it all seems really dumb. There's no purpose to any. I don't know. None of this is really well thought out. But let's just go on.
Well, the Virgins itself would be a planet that had life come back to it with after being wiped bare, like spontaneous life. Like that's how they referred to Anakin. He was a virgin created by the Force. So you guys are sitting in the Virgins. Like mission accomplished. You found it.
So then, you couldn't see it in the shot there because the frames just didn't quite line up. We've got a Wookiee walking through the forest with a metal detector, like an episode of The Detectorists, just walking around.
Is he bald?
Like the creepy guys in the sandals at the beach, walking around.
Yeah.
There you go. he's been to Radio Shack. He's been to Radio Shack and he's gotten his metal detector. He's going to use it to find the Force.
Yeah, and then this is the other thing that like Trinity and Squid Games are arguing over. Your Padawan he's too distracted, blah blah blah, and she's like, "Well, that's why you don't have a Padawan and I have a Padawan." Their conversations are so stupid. They're supposed to be these two like serious Jedis, but if you look at their dialogue, I don't know if it's just me. It's so dumb.
Oh yeah.
Do not confuse Torben's feelings with your own. I don't know why between the way the dialogue is written, the way these guys deliver it. And don't get me wrong, these are actors that I think are good. I genuinely like these actors, but they don't know what they're doing here, and nobody else does either, I think.
No.
Well, his reasoning for wanting to make her his Padawan is all messed up too. It's not really explained. It's just like, oh, I just feel a connection. I just really want this. Like, why her? I mean, there's no build up to the relationship in any way. It's so strange.
And it's unclear. These guys sort of, she's touching him and looking at him. Are they supposed to be romantic? Are they supposed to be whatever? I don't even know. It's like the people here never, between the different characters, you don't know if they want to bang each other. You don't know if they hate each other, if they like each other, if they're colleagues, if one is a mentor to the other. I couldn't tell you because the way the thing is written and the way they act is always like, sort of weird in like what people were saying here, like in a creepy uncle way, but they all seem like the creepy uncle. Every single one of them, even the women.
And at times, I mean, maybe there's a payoff to this, but at times Soul seems to be incredibly emotional, which seems very out of place for a Jedi. Oh, look, speeders! I remember.
Right, exactly. And this is the part that I was thinking, oh, they're doing the Endor thing, like whatever. It's like he's walking around. I feel bad for this guy. I think he's a good actor. This is just embarrassing.
Yes.
A lot of these shots look like fan films filmed in the woods out back.
So now we get to see some of the earlier episode from a different angle where he's creeping on the two girls.
I always wanted to see the creepy Soul from a different angle.
Yeah.
As he looks at little girls. And who didn't want to see those two girls doing patty cake in the forest again?
Yeah, exactly. And then we see that there's these relic stones all over the place. Why are they, if they're investigating something, why are they not investigating stuff like that instead of walking around in the forest picking up peat moss? Like, they should be looking at like ancient relics, looking for old temples. I don't know, maybe giant fortresses built into the side of mountains. Maybe they look for that kind of thing. To try and figure out what's happening on the planet rather than picking rocks out of a stream. I don't know.
Torturing butterflies.
For the girls,
And again, now we see from a different angle. I don't even know if is it from a different angle. I feel like it's like before it was more of a zoom in, or they just.
Yeah, I think it was just a tighter shot.
It's not only that. Maybe in the editing they just did like a. Even an edit within a zoom within the edit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Did they just do a dance in the forest and the devil showed up?
More or less.
That's one of their two mothers.
Yes, that's Mother Coral.
Mother Coral. They have two mothers because of course they do.
Is her
This-
name Satan?
It's Coral. Mother Coral. That's
I
her
just
name.
call her horny mom.
And then Soul's like, I see two little girls. Can you read me? And then this stupid thing.
Yep.
This looks like a commercial for never mind.
Razors.
No, there's that ring. I don't know how to say it in a way that's PG.
Oh.
Sometimes in the middle of the night there's like a ring for ladies.
I see.
Dude.
I don't think I have. I don't know how to explain that ring for ladies beyond what I just said.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. The ring. Yeah.
The ring. That's what it looks like. That's what the Acolyte looks like to me. So he's looking at again at this angle with the same stupid thing that they arrived back. And really, until now, there's nothing. There's nothing in these shots that you're like, oh, I can't believe it. There's no like eureka moment that you can't believe what you're looking at. It achieves nothing except for it seems cheap and it annoys you.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
So,
these.
Yeah.
Sorry,
How
go on.
high did he climb?
Yeah. So we've seen
Oh.
this. We've seen this mountain, and we've seen like the temple where they are is like apparently up at the very top of this mountain, and so we see the platform, which in Star Wars that's always been referred to as where a starship lands, not an elevator, but whatever. They see the platform that they ride up, but then you can tell there's like this fortress, this stone fortress that's built in the side of the mountain. And then not only does he climb that, but he climbs the whole rest of the mountain, and he apparently does it in record time. Just an hour or two at most. Because by the time he gets to the top, it's back, we're seeing some of the previous episode being shown to us from a different angle. So, yeah.
Oh, and then again, this was already dumb the first time. The last thing I ever wanted to see was like another angle of this scene.
Like far away, you can barely see it.
And I benefited nothing. There's nothing that I benefit. Oh, here, okay, now they're arguing. And again, I don't understand what any of these characters want. It's dumb that they arrived here to look at the virgins. It's dumb whatever Soul is doing.
Yeah.
You don't really understand what he wants or why he wants it, or it's
but
just. Sorry,
but
go
his
on.
like connection to what's her face, Osha. His connection to her is all wrong. It's just so weird. It's like it's hard not to call this guy creepy because he's willing to just abandon all of his training, snapping at his Jedi peers because he really wants this little girl to be his Padawan. I just
Yeah, it seems
I don't
very,
get it, man.
very creepy. It's like I think they're trying to go for a Qui-Gon Jinn with Anakin, but the thing is, Qui-Gon Jinn spent time with Anakin. He arrived at this place. Anakin, his mother was a slave. They worked for Wada or whatever it is, and then there was the pod racing, and he's trying to help them, and then they want to take him and give him, his mother wants it. It's for a better life, and B, they saw something. Qui-Gon Jinn saw something in him. At least all of those things make sense. Phantom Menace is by no means, it's not my favorite movie out of any Star Wars, but I will say that at least the story made some kind of logical sense. I could understand why the characters were doing whatever they were doing. I do not understand these weirdos that we're looking at now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't feel like Jedi at all. They don't feel like any of the Jedi that we've seen before. Some sort of weird, very emotional, very.
And they're always looking, for lack of a better word, is it just me or they're always kind of looking and acting rather pervy?
Yeah, he's like what, a Jedi Knight. He doesn't have his own Padawan. He doesn't have any control over his own powers or emotions. Like he even channels. I don't even know if this is technically channeling the dark side, but when he's like manipulating her or the test or whatever, to make it to where she passes. I'm just like, what is this dude doing?
Yeah.
It's weird.
We do find out they mention here apparently that they believe that this place that they're in, because it's kind of been a question all along. Did these witches build where this place where they are? And they mentioned something about it having been miners. So apparently miners are known for building massive stone fortresses in the sides of mountains. So
And a lot of men did a lot of work, and then a lot of women came in and took over. I get it.
Yeah.
So now we're back at this stupid thing, and
Yep.
the big quote unquote reveal is that last time when we saw him being possessed, we couldn't see what he was seeing, but now we're seeing it, which is basically Jodie Turner Smith coming and being, and sorry, I have no other word, rather pervy. She's like, "Oh, I know what you want. I know what you want," and I'm like, "What is this?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, is she tempting him? Is that's the seduction? Like he likes Jodie Turner Smith? I don't really understand. Is she?
It's even worse than that. He just wants to go home to mommy.
Right, he's a little sorry, Dread. He's a little jerk off. That's what he is. He's like a jerk off Anakin, and she's in his head. And the thing that she's kind of all touchy feely with him. I mean, I don't have an issue with it per se, but it just feels very non-Star Wars. All these characters always look at each other weird and have this kind of touchy feely thing going on. It's just that's not what that's not what Star Wars is, in my opinion.
Right.
Well, as far as I know, that the original Star Wars was never written by pervy people, and that's they're not that they didn't put. They're putting that of themselves, whether they realize it or not, into the show.
I mean, the last time we had the guy in the lake that was naked, and then they were looking at each other kind of pervy. And now it's like they can't have an episode without people. Now one could say, well, Han Solo liked Leia, but that's not the same thing. Like there was an actual romance building between them. It was done really thoughtfully and nicely. This is not one of those situations. This is just random people that don't know each other, look and act weird at each other all the time in a way that seems just kind of off, and I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, you know what's even weirder is that this dude just succumbs to whatever a spell she's casting on him the moment she's like, hey, I'm going to take the day off. And then he's just willing to betray all of his friends instantly.
And yeah, in 1 second, he's like, and it doesn't help that he has the weird wig on and he looks like a douchey Anakin. It doesn't help.
Yeah.
Are all the Jedi virgins in this series?
It seems, and
they were looking for virgins in the Force.
Yeah,
that's what they were saying. God.
And of course, like under these kind of people that write it, like I don't know, Leslie Headland and her friends, he's not like an alpha male or any kind of like confident man or whatever. He's just this snivelly little jerk off. I don't know. Yeah. They couldn't have come up with a Jedi that looks, acts, behaves more of a sniveling weasel than this guy.
Well, and clearly these witches, they've sort of been made up to be sort of the innocents here, right? They were just living their lives, and the Jedi came along and screwed things up. Of course, the mama here, she reads people's minds and manipulates them by using their weaknesses against them. So she's definitely one of the good ones, right?
Everything you're showing me just reminds me of classic, like witch folklore. They dance in the forest, and then the devil appears. You get this woman trying to seduce him into evil. It's like, these are your good guys?
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet.
Yeah, it gets better, buddy.
So he basically wants to go to Coruscant, and she's giving him the option to do that, and I guess that's what's seducing him, that he's a whiny, sorry Dredd, he's a whiny little shit, and he wants to go home.
I want to go home.
He wants to go back to Coruscant.
I want to go back to
Coruscant. And of course, always, as with any show we see, any planet that George Lucas has established has to keep making appearances on these shows and over again. Whether it's
Don't tell me
Coruscant,
they show Tatooine.
yeah, Tatooine or Coruscant or anything. They have a few planets, and they just got to revisit them every second.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're back at this thing from this perspective, and she's like, "Oh, you want him to go back to his right mind." So now we supposedly understand something that we didn't understand before, that he was being seduced by Jodie Turner-Smith. Then they're back here, and he's like,
Because
again,
he was homesick.
yes.
He literally was seduced by the dark side because he was homesick.
What happened to this?
It really sucked that bad for him not to be home.
So the funny thing is, I was looking for the titles. Now it turns out that they were just like 20 seconds walking from side to side and not saying anything.
Just wandering around.
Nice.
And again, nothing here makes sense. He's like, "Oh, she's also not safe. I have to make her safe." He's like, "No, you don't know what it means to have a Padawan. You're being selfish." And it's like, what
He's
are you
all like,
people?
I feel a connection to this little girl.
Dude, and then he like completely ignores when she says, "It's not up to you, it's up to her parents." And he's just like, "But I want her." I'm like, what the heck?
So wrong.
This is so weird. It's so weird.
Oh.
I believe she wants to leave with us.
So forget the parents, just forget they exist completely.
And then
it's all about you and your feelings. So
this guy, he doesn't even have to say anything. Just look at this. Look at this guy. I don't know what to tell you. It's just this. How can I take this seriously?
I mean, it's anything is better than Mog from the last episode, that incredibly soy boy Jedi who was running around with Green Bean.
Okay, fair enough. That guy was really bad.
Wow.
That was really bad. But this guy would be a close second. He's even more weaselly than Yord.
Yeah,
Definitely.
does he always have to have this stuck up look? And just it's either that look or he's crying profusely.
It always looks like he smelled something.
Smelled a fart.
Degree.
Yeah, there was some cow took a dump there, and he was smelling the crap. That's the face that he
stinks.
Man.
And I guess here this is the part where they show. They show the girls are.
The girls getting tested, and so the one part here that they did show that they did not show in the first one around is they actually show May getting tested, and during that test they pick up she's clearly intentionally failing it, and so they kind of question her, what's that tattoo on your head, what does the ascension mean and stuff. So they find out a little bit more. There is a little bit of an info dump here that's kind of useful for solving some of the stuff we've missed out on. It's kind of telling us, here's what the thing is, and we're supposed to take over. And we would now be the leaders after the ascension ceremony. And she asks her, why would you, how would you children, how would you be leaders? And she says something about everyone has to pass through fear, and everyone will have to sacrifice for our group or something. And so it sounds like there's going to be some sort of Jamestown kind of thing going on here. But we don't know.
I have a question for you, and there's a bunch of questions actually. First of all, why doesn't it look like Carrie-Anne Moss is 16 years younger than in the future? She seems maybe 16 years older. She doesn't look younger at all here.
No.
They didn't even make the mildest effort, just like a $5 re-aging. I mean, there's people online today, in their basement that can do a better job. They didn't even try. The other thing is, why does she have a birthmark next to her eye? I don't get it. Was that always there?
There is a whole bunch of characters in this show that have some sort of weird tattoo or birthmark or mole or something like by their eyes. It's clearly this was some weird choice that was made by the costumers or by the makeup crew or something. There's several characters that have like weird dots going on next to their eyes. I don't get it.
Another question.
These have meaning?
I don't know. It's not like they've explained anything. They hardly even explained the plot. They certainly haven't explained why the hell they have weird tattoos next to their eyes.
True.
So this is the part where I think May is the one that's being tested now, and now she's not lying to them anymore. And there's a spaceship. She says there's a spaceship, but then it sort of does a close up on Trinity, who looks like she's climaxing, and I'm not sure why. I don't understand this whole scene.
Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, so yeah, they do May, and then basically she says, "I don't want to be a Jedi. Let me leave." She tells them a little bit about the witch coven and what the ascension is. She goes, and then Saul says, "Well, let me try something a little bit different with the next girl." And so it's kind of shown this time around that he was kind of coaching her along to get the right answers. Right. So Trinity there basically says, "Hey, yeah, she passed the test, but you were kind of helping her out. Like that's not cool. And she's already, and you know what? She's too old anyway. So we're going to have to ask the High Council. We can't just take these kids, whether she wants to go or not." Right.
Someone suggested, I was reading X earlier, and someone suggested that Indara with her eyes closed like that was helping the manipulation. Is that true?
I don't know.
I don't. That's what I was thinking. I couldn't tell if she was climaxing or trying to help the girl, or both,
or if she was sensing.
Maybe just sensing. Yeah,
she was sensing that Soul was communicating with her somehow to try and give her the answers. I don't know. It was
by the way, Sean, as somebody that's just being exposed to this, how do you feel about what you're seeing now?
Yeah.
I have nothing constructive to say other than I still cannot stand this goddamn spaceship and the green walls.
Pretty stupid.
Yeah.
It makes me think of like a 1940s refrigerator, and it does not feel like Star Wars, and it's just bothering me.
The funny thing is, you're right, Sean, and somehow it's the least of my worries because this show is so bad that I don't even have time to focus on how bad the ship looks. But you're not wrong.
Well, everything else, like from the costumes, they don't feel. This is all a veneer, and it's like Star Wars on the surface and with no substance. Therefore, it's not Star Wars.
Oh yeah, it's Star Wars in name only. I mean,
like none of this interests me. None of the faces, none of the costumes, none of the sets.
It's not cool. It's like
nothing.
It's like they've done a study to find out everything that was cool about Star Wars, and then they removed it from the show.
Yeah,
it's like worse than fan films.
It is.
It's almost like someone brought a Star Wars story to the producers, and the producer told them, "Well, you made a good Star Wars story, but you should go back and make a you story instead."
And that, like everything you're telling me, just sounds like maybe they could have written it. It sounds like the mental illness of people that put forth the message over the story.
Oh, well, the whole show's a therapy session for Leslie Headland.
And that's all modern writing too. It feels like I lost my train of thought. It's like you can see in the writing, like they know how humans behave and how relationships are supposed to work, but they need to force this message so that you just end up with this gook of a story and nothing makes sense. Characters, you can't tell if they like each other, if they want to hump each other, if they want to kill each other. It's like this is as confusing seeming to me as what must be in their brains when they try to write.
Right. People say write what you know, and the writer's room of this show is writing what they know. And this is the result.
And they know insanity, it seems like.
They know characters. They know characters who want to jump each other's bones. That's all they know.
But they can't have them show interest in each other because then that would go against the message. So they're constantly fighting this.
But that's why they're always looking at each other weird, but nobody's doing anything. It's like they're sort of there. I said this last week that every time I saw Osha talking to the other guy, I felt there was a vibe. She was making a face like she wants to perform oral sex, but she's not sure about it. And that's what I thought the whole episode. Every shot you see her, she's just making the same weird face. And I know that sounds weird to say because you're thinking, why do you think that? It's really weird of you to say that. But I don't know how else to describe. Like, I'm thinking to myself, when somebody is directing these actors, what are they telling them? Because that's what they look like to me. I don't know now if I'm crazy or if they're crazy.
She literally creeps on him, watches him bathing naked, and then you see a shot of her checking out his junk.
Well, even I think last week, you like scrolled ahead like 30 seconds, and her face did not change.
Yes.
Everything you show me here, they all have the same face. The most acting I've seen is the guy with that just smelled a pile of shit somewhere. The guy that you hate. It looks like he's like.
I think that this guy, the guy from Squid Games, is trying to act, but man, he does not know what they want him to do here. He's trying really hard, and it comes off at the end as kind of ridiculous. And I maybe feel really the worst for him. He came from like another country, really excited to be a part of this Star Wars production, and they put him in the worst one ever.
But nobody looks like they care about any of this stuff. Like, and you don't see any characters make any other face except for these ones. Confusion or irritation.
Yeah, it's like each of them, and this reminds me of Ahsoka. Each of them was given one look, one kind of face to make, and they just tell them keep making the same face over and over again.
No
matter what.
Okay, so here in this scene, we get our next sort of little plot point, if you can call it that. First they're arguing about whether they should take the girls or not. They're clearly training these Force girls to use the Force, and they're clearly dark. They're some sort of Force cult or something they refer to it as. But then the blood test results come back from the two girls. So we saw that Torben there took the blood tests from them. And not only do they have incredibly high M counts, as they say, clearly referring to midichlorians, but their symbionts are the same. That's not a word we've heard in Star Wars ever before. It's like, they're Trill?
I didn't understand what they wanted here, where they're like they're actually the one person or whatever it is.
Yeah, so that's what they're saying is that this isn't possible. I guess their midichlorians are like exactly the same, is what they're trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
So not just that they're the same count, but they have the same signature or something. Like, they don't explain it. The symbionts are the same. What's symbiont? What does that mean? I don't know. But apparently it's not possible that they could be the same unless it's the same person. And so they're saying she is literally one person separated into two bodies. So
a spirit split in two or something like that.
Yeah.
That is strange.
Very strange.
I'm not saying it's like the worst idea in the world, but it's certainly not executed well, and there's no real build up to why that is. And isn't there only like one episode left this season? Where's the reveal about who the Sith Cortosis guy is? He's like, you don't remember me, soul? And he's just like, what? Who?
I mean, right now, the only way that we know he remembers him is that he should have arrested his ass when he was selling poison to him in the second episode or whatever.
It's fine. It'll just be a gas cloud at the end.
Yeah. A lot of people online think he's going to be Darth Plagueis or some other thing. I'm like, the people who wrote this don't know who the hell Darth Plagueis is.
It's going to be a woman.
You know what they did? They probably spent that extra money that no one knows where it went on extra scenes, so that when all of the backlash online comes out about like, oh man, I wish it would be Plagueis. I hope the last episode is like a reveal of Plagueis because it's the only way I'll stick with Star Wars. And then they take those extra Plagueis scenes that they filmed just in case, and they just shoehorn it in, so it's not even aligned correctly and it's choppy everywhere. But at least they got that thing out that they think the fans want.
I agree with Professor R2, though. These people, I don't even know if they really understand. I don't know. Some of these people may not have even watched the other Star Wars movies or anything. I think Leslie Headland said that she was looking for people that never watched Star Wars or something like that.
Yeah, she said one of the writers that she hired, when she asked her what she knew of Star Wars, she said, "Isn't that the one where the guy flies around with a dog in space?" Like that's what she thought Star Wars was.
And Leslie
And she
Headland
hired
said,
her on the spot.
"You're hired. You're hired. You're
they-
exactly that. You're the person I was looking for."
They actively hire people that aren't fans of this stuff. Even
Yeah.
Marvel does. Because I guess they think that's going to give them some kind of outside perspective, but it just shows that they're stupid idiots.
Yeah.
So at this point, Discount Anakin jumps on a speeder and goes. What goes?
Yeah,
to the
he's
place?
convinced that because the only way that these twins could be exactly the same, they could be two people in separate bodies or whatever, or one person in two separate bodies, is that is the vergence in the Force they're looking for, and if they can find it, he can go home to Mama on Coruscant. So he's like, oh, we found the vergence, let's go get it, so we can go home, because that's his deepest.
And then he just
desire.
runs off.
Yeah,
and then
What's even the point of the one person in two bodies? What purpose does that even serve?
nothing. It serves nothing. It's just nonsense.
You just needed a twist.
And that's the thing that and Dredd was saying that once in a while there could be an idea that if it was worked into something that actually looks like a story, you could say, okay, maybe this is an interesting idea to explore. But once everything else is so stupid around it, the dialogue is poor, the storytelling and the acting and everything, then you can't take it seriously, even if they have half an idea that maybe could have been something in other people's hands.
It sounds like the kind of idea you get, and you're like, I have no purpose for this. It sounds cool. I just got to cut it out.
I guess. Yeah. And then Soul, I guess, runs after the guy that went here. And now Jody...
we get a moment back in the lesbian commune or whatever here. Basically the same moment that we saw before, just a little bit extended, where she's saying, yes, Mom, I want to be a Jedi, whatever. And we get to see a little bit more where some of the other members of the Coven are arguing with her, saying, hey, you're our leader. You can't let that girl go. She's our future, whatever. Again, we don't get any of this explained as to how these twins are their future, what it means for them. Clearly there's some sort of power they're trying to tap that they can only do if they have the twins there, and one of them leaving is a problem. I don't know. It's very, very bizarre.
Does anyone ever laugh in this show?
No.
Nope. Yeah. Only we laugh at the show.
We laugh at the show. That's true.
I don't think that any of these characters have even positively reinforced each other once.
They never look like they're colleagues. They don't look like anything. This is the part, and I, again, when I was saying about write what you know, these weirdos in this writing room, they are not representative of what people are or act like. I feel like the four of us know what, a group of people that hang out, what they act like. And if we have to write four characters that were sort of even on a mission together, a little bit of banter, a little something, make it seem like they're a bit friends, that there's something, or if one is more of a mentor to the other, bring that up and really show it. But whoever wrote this, they're really, I don't want to sound too condescending here, but there isn't enough intelligence within this group of writers. Not intelligence, not emotional intelligence, not just regular intelligence, not knowledge about Star Wars. There's just not enough here for these guys to pull this off.
It seems like you have a writer's room full of people terrified of each other, and that's what's coming across in these characters. They all look terrified that
they also
say the wrong thing.
They also are considering that they all being intimate with each other, but they're not sure.
Yeah, and of course we see while the other mother Anastasia is having a talk with Osha, May is very upset. You can't let her leave, blah blah blah, whatever. So horny mother
Horny
Coral.
mom is getting. She's you got to
Yeah,
do
she
something.
takes her off and she says, "Oh yeah, well if you don't want her to leave, then you do something." Like shoves her down some stairs, and then they have a little force push fight back and forth, and so she tells her to use your anger or whatever, and sends her off.
It's
So
so
she goes off to
pathetic.
do
It's so
anger
Get
pathetic.
mad.
What is this set? Is this some steps next to a spaceship? What is this?
This is the witches where their secret lair or whatever it is.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I am sorry. I mean, it could be that Jodie Turner Smith is the nicest woman on earth, but man, does she annoy me on this show? This show doesn't present her in a positive light. It's not like I see this and I think to myself, I really want to see Jodie Turner Smith in more productions.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
No one can get in or out.
Oh shoot, I didn't.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. Yeah. So May does.
Wow.
So we do find out from the earlier episode. She tells Osha, she says, "No, you can't leave." She tells you can't leave. There's no way to leave. Whatever. So we find out that actually what she has done, she's broken the elevator, so nobody can get in or out. She walks up and basically just smashes it, and so nobody can get in or out. That's what she meant by "you can't leave." I'm not sure what she meant by "I'll kill you," other than I'm going to try to kill you. But yeah, we do get to see a little bit more of that from some different angles. But again, it's a bunch of stuff we've already seen. So yeah. So now she's back telling everyone, "You can't leave. I broke the elevator," whatever, and then goes to find Osha.
And now this is another dumb part where we saw that she's with these candles. I guess she didn't plan on breaking the candles and it was an accident or something.
Yeah. I
mean, sorry, go on.
No. Yeah, it looks like she from the angle that they show it this time that when she lit the book on fire, she didn't expect it to go up so quickly. And it catches fire and it startles her.
It startles her that she lit the book on fire and then it was on fire.
Yeah, but it caught fire so quickly, and then it made her drop the lantern, which apparently was filled with some sort of flammable liquid.
She's the dumbest little. Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah,
I don't know the actress or anything. I'm saying that the character is the dumbest girl ever.
Yeah. She tries to stomp the fire out, which is clearly being fueled by some sort of gasoline or something, right? She tries to stomp it out. Right before this, of course, we get to see them scaling the side of this fortress, the side of the mountain within minutes, right? Again. And then the witches inside are getting ready to sort of repel the Jedi that are coming in. Yeah. So yeah, there's her setting fire and being startled by the fire that she started.
The thing is that I said from an early episode that they're going to do everything to sort of redeem the quote unquote bad twin. Now it's like, oh, she's also a victim in all of this or whatever they're trying to show.
Yeah. Well, she was just stupid. So,
she was stupid and also semi-victim because of what happens next.
Yeah.
The Jedi are the bad ones.
Yeah. The Saul and whatever bad Anakin show up. And this
initially,
this
is really weird. I have to say that this part confused me a bit.
Oh, it's bizarre.
It's bizarre. Like, she turns into this weird kind of sand stuff. So Soul thinks that she's trying to do something bad and he kills her, I guess.
Yeah, she turns into like wispy black smoke. We don't know why. She doesn't there's nothing happening that prompts it. There's no warning. She just starts turning into black smoke, and at the same time we do see that May also starts turning into this black smoke like when she does it. And so, but then while she's this wispy black smoke, it startles Saul. So he pulls out his lightsaber and stabs into the black smoke. And for some reason, she becomes corporeal again around his lightsaber. Makes no
So
sense
weird.
whatsoever.
It's so weird. If she was sand, why would she suddenly become a person and be stuck in his lightsaber? I don't get it.
Well, you know, sand is
As far as I-
coarse and it gets
Yes.
everywhere.
As far as
That's
I've heard, lightsabers don't kill you anymore, so I don't
They
know what the
don't.
problem
But in
is.
this
Especially not
case,
women.
in this case, they do because it has to present this male Jedi in a negative light. So in this case, it worked. Like suddenly he could kill her. And then May sees
Oh,
what
yeah.
happened, and she's like, "Oh, what have you done?"
Yeah, May's laying there, mama, mama. And then we see more explosions all around the place. There is no other indication. So everybody has been theorizing. Oh, they tampered with the reactor. The Jedi are responsible for blowing the place up. Whatever. They show nothing else in this episode beyond May starting the fire. So apparently it spread through this giant stone fortress and caught a bunch of things on fire that blew up. That's the only thing that we have.
Makes no
Right
sense,
now.
but yes.
We have no other indication that anything else happened. They show the Jedi when they arrive. They're not like sabotaging a reactor or planting explosives or anything like that, you know. So unless there's something else here that we haven't seen, yeah, that little lamp burned down a mountain.
Are they supposed to have shark eyes?
So they're so after the Jedi arrive, there's a whole bunch of them on like a platform firing arrows that little weak Anakin guy is fighting off while Saul is also holding the mother who says, "Oh, I would have let her go with you." Oh, and then dies. And then yeah.
Making him feel more like crap.
Yeah, and so then as they're kind of fighting, then the horny mom comes in and starts fighting with Saul. And we get more force foo. But he's clearly trying to dodge her attacks, and it's actually the choreography was okay there. He's trying to dodge her attacks, but then after a little bit, she gets frustrated and she turns into black fog, and then she goes off and possesses the Wookiee Jedi's mind. So then he comes back, but apparently it's not just her possessing the Wookiee Jedi's mind, because you saw the scene of all the witches kind of swaying back and forth and chanting while they're
this is
there you go.
So
yeah,
dumb. This is so dumb. And this dumb this dumb witch in the middle here.
Yeah, the old crone, whatever you want to call her. Yeah, the old crone.
This dumb bitch in the middle here. She's a witch too, but whatever it is, I don't know what this is. This is terrible. This is terrible.
So them controlling Kilnaka's mind does explain one thing from earlier in the show. So there is a payoff. Amazingly, there is a payoff to at least one thing. In that earlier episode where we saw the Wookiee Jedi, Kilnaka is in his crashed ship where he was living on that forest planet. He had drawn a bunch of the witch coven symbols on the walls. And so I guess this explains where that came from. There was something remaining in him from this possession here that caused him to draw those all over the place. But yeah, she jumps in. Oh, that's the best part right there.
This is so stupid.
If you want to risk playing a little video of something, play that just without the audio. It's the best. Trinity jumps in to try and remove the mind control from the Wookiee Jedi's mind, and then this happens. Oh, it's so good.
This is so stupid. This is the dumbest thing. I'm doing it really slowly in order not to get
His
So-
name is Kilnaka.
Kel
Like-
Naka, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Chewbacca.
Yeah.
They just like we'll just change
This
the.
is really.
the old crone like collapsing last. Is the best.
That's the best.
Robot
That's the
Head.
best.
Robot Head put a post on Twitter that said the witches died from using witchcraft.
Yes.
This
Yes.
is so stupid, man.
So bad. Just
Also, let me get this straight. So lightsabers, when they stab you, can't kill you. You can survive them easily, but when a lightsaber stabs moving gas, like a smoke monster, basically, it insta kills it.
yeah.
Yes,
More or less.
Okay.
pretty much.
All right. Just wanted to make
yeah.
sure that plasma could. Oh, I get it. Plasma, ectoplasm. Good thinking, Leslie Headland. Good job.
If you if you've followed it all, did any of you watch Charlie Hopkinson? His videos that he makes. He does deep fakes where he does the voices of the characters, and so he has a whole series of videos where he's got like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Anakin watching through Star Wars. And in the more recent episodes in for the Acolyte, Qui-Gon's been really excited because he's actually going to get to see some Jedi die
Yeah.
because it's before Bacta was invented, supposedly. So,
Oh.
no, all these people who get stabbed by lightsabers will actually die instead of like they did in Obi-Wan and Ahsoka and so on.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I guess at this point, what does he say?
Yeah. So the witches die of cringe.
Right.
And then they managed to get whatever possession out of the Wookiee said, which, by the way, the Wookiee fight to me, it was like he was throwing him around a little bit, but isn't a Wookiee just supposed to be like pick you up and rip your arms off?
That's why the whole idea of the Wookiee and the as a Jedi doesn't work for me to begin with. That's just, they don't work together. I don't know why they insisted on this.
Yeah, it's just they get in basically they get in a fist fight with a Wookiee. He should be tearing them to pieces.
True.
Well, you could
Right.
do an interesting story, but I don't know how you would
Yeah.
illustrate it when he can't speak English. But a character overcoming its base nature, it would work. But that's a little too highbrow for this show.
No, there's
also-
no way they can pull this off.
And also, I forgot to point out, we saw exactly what the power of many can do for you. They just all
Nothing.
die. They just all die.
Can all control one Wookiee for a short period
You
of
can
time.
control one Wookiee briefly until you kill yourself.
Yeah.
And this dumb scene, it's like, again, I have to watch this stupid thing.
What did you do? What did you do?
What did you do? Oh, sure.
Okay, so this we didn't see. This is a slightly different angle. We see that actually, as those bridges were falling, he was there kind of holding them both up. But eventually his strength kind of failed him and he had to let one go. And so he let Bad Twin go into the pit and he saved Osha.
Have you
So
ever
that's what makes him evil.
Have you ever
Yeah.
considered that if you film a television show from two different angles, you only have to film half as much? I think you can just reuse the same thing and play it again for the last half of the show.
And then at this point, Trinity basically says, we'll go to the council and we'll just fudge the facts here and tell them that
Yeah.
May did everything. And so they basically explained to him that this is the best course of action.
Yeah,
then-
all to save May's feelings.
Right.
Because May's lost her family and her dream is to be a Jedi. And if we tell them the truth, there's no chance she's ever going to get to be her Padawan. So we have to go lie to them.
Right.
Who cares?
Right.
Right. It's awful. It's really awful.
What is this even-
Absolutely no explanation whatsoever about how May is still alive.
Who cares about any of this? And what does it have to do with them being the same person? Like, what is this all supposed to be building towards? Season 2?
Maybe she finds that Asian guy down in that hole she fell into, and he's like, "Don't worry, I'll raise you, and you'll become my apprentice or whatever, my acolyte." Who knows?
And then
I
the
mean, we
audience
saw
cheers
her-
because they use the name of the show in the actual show.
We saw her in the earlier episode at the very end. May like wakes up near the bunta tree or whatever, that big yellow tree. But no explanation of how she survived the fall or how she got there or anything. I guess it's hinted at that she can turn into black smoke. And so maybe she turned into black smoke and survived. But they did not show us that. They just showed her falling again. And
You know what that
was it.
means? That means we're going to get another flashback in the next episode.
Who knows?
It's going to be awesome. It'll probably be like a bird's eye view angle this time.
Yeah. I mean, I have no idea how they're going to wrap this up in one episode. My guess is they don't.
And it doesn't even matter. Whatever they do in this next episode, nothing's going to matter. I mean, what have we been looking at? Have they built any kind of story here? There's nothing here. This has to be the worst Star Wars to date. And I say this, and I've seen Ahsoka. I've seen that Obi-Wan series. I've seen the Book of Boba Fett. I've seen all the terrible stuff. This is rock bottom. They all were rock bottom. This is even more rock bottom.
It was pretty rough. I mean, again, it's my little joke there at the beginning is about 80% recycled content by volume. I mean, it was the same episode over again with just little bits here and there that we didn't get to see the first time around.
The thing
that
is,
filled in a few holes, but still left a whole bunch.
This isn't also some kind of show that's a masterpiece. That 6 episodes, they've won us over with some of the best storytelling of all time. And now they're like, well, we have another take here. Now you're going to learn about a lot of stuff when we look at stuff from a different perspective. You know, like I said at the beginning, they haven't earned that. They haven't done anything. This is like, it's as if I would draw a stick figure and you'd put it at like the biggest museum in the world or something. Like I didn't earn it. You know what I mean? There's nothing. Yeah. There's no reason. You have to be on a certain level to do whatever they were trying to do in this episode, and there's just nothing that justifies this attempt even.
So DEI then didn't earn it.
This is total didn't earn it. And
describing those modern art.
Yeah, there's just no way they can possibly pull together any kind of conclusion, satisfying or not, in the next 27-minute episode. I'm assuming the last episode is the same length as the rest. Maybe it's a double-length episode. I doubt it, but it sounds like we're gonna get one more little half episode. I'm sure there's gonna be a little hanky panky between Kamir and Osha. They're gonna hook up.
Oh yeah, they've had like no time to develop at all.
Yeah, so they're definitely gonna be smashing in the next.
I barely remember the names of these characters. There's still moments that I forget which one is Osha and which one is May. And it's not like the show is helping me any. I mean, they act the exact same. So I guess I'm looking for a tattoo or something.
Yeah. My assumption was that what we were going to get at the end is that the two sisters would come back together, and they're gonna join their forces together, the power of two, and defeat whoever, probably defeat Master Saul, I would assume.
And then
he's clearly the bad guy, and then go with Sith Lord off to wherever. I don't know.
That's lame.
Yeah.
Especially since people were like, man, I really like Saul. He's like Qui-Gon Jinn. Nope.
Yeah, nope.
He's worse than everybody else, and not in a good way.
Yeah, and then Matthew Marcello in the chat's pointing out, hey, just remember that Ahsoka finale. Where basically the whole show added up to a couple characters switch places.
That show. Yeah, I mean, But I really, I don't. Am I wrong to think that this may be the worst? That this may be worse than Ahsoka?
Oh, it is most
Yeah.
definitely. Ahsoka was dull, and those long pauses where you got Ahsoka crossing her arms and staring into the middle distance to be profound in some way. But you know, a lot of the dialogue was crummy, but it wasn't as awful as this is. And of course, yes, we got Thrawn, who was an absolute bastardization of one of the best characters ever introduced in the extended universe of Star Wars. But honestly, I was able to laugh at Ahsoka a little bit more than I think I have been able to laugh at this, although they're both quite amusing. But yeah,
They're amusing for different reasons. I mean, this one is
Sure.
just. Yeah, I think that Ahsoka actually had parts that I found myself laughing more because maybe they were trying to do something and I could understand they were trying to tell a story and they just didn't know how to do it. This I don't even know if to say it's an attempt to tell a story. I'm not quite sure what this is.
At least Ahsoka, there was something they were striving for. Like everything I hear about Acolyte, I'm like, who cares? What's the purpose? Like Ahsoka, they were looking for Ezra and Thrawn, and there was a goal, a clearly defined.
Not only
goal
that,
to get
Star
to.
Wars Rebels ended with that storyline, so at least they could say that with the Ahsoka show, they were continuing that and giving closure to people who watch that show. Now, at the end, the closure was disappointing, stupid, and idiotic.
yeah,
But at least they were supposedly trying to give that closure. Here, it doesn't really connect to anything. It's just sort of a prequel that nobody cares about, that nobody takes it seriously.
And there's no clear defined goal. Like,
Right.
she just wants to become a Sith. Is that the whole purpose of this show?
I'm not even sure.
Or is she?
I don't know what she wants. I mean, how could I from this show?
We want to conquer the Empire. We want to defeat the Separatists. Like, we want to find Ezra. Like, what are these women doing? They're not. They're just. And all these Jedi, what are they doing? They're just wandering around on a planet and stealing children. And then, what the hell is the purpose? Why are we wasting our time?
Right. Yeah, I agree. Like,
yeah.
Well, remember, this is the amazing fusion of Frozen and Kill Bill. So it's definitely we must just be missing out on something because it's going to be something amazing, you know. Ugh.
Yeah, but these characters are just like none of them have any redeeming qualities. They're all dark and twisted. The Jedi and the witches, they all basically kill each other over, well, a huge misunderstanding, and it's just like for no reason they're just slaughtering one another, and a bunch of accidents and convenient like circumstance. Everything is happening all at once, and it's just nonsensical. And by the end, you're just like, you don't feel happy, you feel depressed, like you don't want to be a Jedi anymore. You definitely, hopefully, never wanted to be a witch in the first place, but now there's even more reason not to. And then we're stealing plot points from Lost with the smoke monster concept, and it's not so good. Yeah.
By the way, speaking of Lost, hold on one second. We have a word from our sponsor. Rumble's exclusive apparel has finally arrived. They are now offering 20% off on all purchases in the Rumble store with the discount code DROP20. If you want to support the brand that is fighting for free speech and fighting for our First Amendment, this is the best way to do it. They have tees, sweaters, hats, plus much more. Go to rumble.store and make sure to enter DROP20 as the promo code to get 20% off your entire order. And now back to our discussion. Where were we?
Soul is evil. Everything sucks.
The depths.
And he likes little
bear.
girls.
Yeah. Yeah, Soul's character was wasted. I mean, I get there were limitations on the kind of dialogue you could say because learning English on the fly, it's an adventure. But they could have made Soul somewhat interesting, given him like a legitimate reason to be interested in Osha rather than making everything about him creepy. I don't know if that was the intention. It's hard not to look at it that way though. And just seeing like him never saying anything like, well, I just find that she's powerful in the Force, and I feel like with my skills, I might be able to teach her something important. No, it's just like she's meant to be mine. She's meant to be my Padawan. It's like, what about her parents? Whatever. It's like, dude, I just don't get it, and he was like the only bearable character until now, and it's like now I just couldn't care at all. I couldn't care before, but I like Soul. I'm just like, Squid Game, Lee Jung Jae, awesome. But now it's just like the full intention is out there. They just wanted to destroy this thing from the get go, clearly, because there's nowhere that it's headed. It's got no silver lining. It's just strange, and there are also so many loose threads that are not being tied up and won't be unless you pack in like R2, like you said, like a 2-hour episode or something, because you have to pack so much in unless you're planning on cutting the season off early. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Well, and the thing is, up to this point, we've gotten at least 2 shows that were basically nothing but filler.
Yeah. True.
Totally.
Oh, you mean episodes or like
2 episode? Well, yeah.
And this is one episode before the end that they would think that this is like a build up to the finale. I mean, this is awful.
Right.
But
we're all just so excited to find out what happens next week. Is it going to be 16 years earlier or 16 years in the future?
How many flashbacks are we going to get?
Everything
plus,
you told me. Sorry.
No, go ahead, man.
Everything I've heard, it just sounds as boring as the first couple of episodes that I've heard about. Nothing has changed. It still sounds boring.
I actually think that it's maybe worse than the first. Like, the first few episodes were bad, but almost all of these shows, at least these first few episodes, you always think maybe they're trying to do something. Once you see the third and fourth, and it's almost every Disney Plus show in general, you learn that whatever you saw in those first few episodes is probably the best you're going to get.
Just imagine being Amanda Stenberg, going on interviews and defending this show all the time and calling like naysayers and people who don't like it ists and phobes of various types, making entire music videos about it. I mean, look at what you're defending, like a piece of garbage, cinematic garbage. I mean, hope it's worth it. I really do. Hope it's worth it. Because, wow.
And I guess just to sum it up, we're definitely going to be talking about the Ada episode, but this show is really crappy, and this episode was an especially crappy episode within an already crappy show. But on a lighter note, I don't know if you noticed, there's this merger with Paramount and Skydance that's going to be moving forward.
Indeed.
Where basically one son of a billionaire is going to be taking control over the company from a daughter of a different billionaire. It's basically children of billionaires controlling Paramount.
That doesn't make much sense.
I mean, this one billionaire, Sherry Redstone, she never really did such good work with it to begin with. And David Ellison, the other thing that's weird about this merger is that, and I also give credit to Tom from Midnight's Edge, who also has said this a few times, but I agree with him that all these years Paramount has been doing business with Skydance, and Skydance has been very much involved in a lot of the decision making at Paramount. And the situation that Paramount is in today, they had something to do with that Skydance. So the fact that Skydance now is bringing money and merging and doing all this stuff, and I guess Ellison is going to be the guy that calls the shots with his people, it feels like it's more of the same. It doesn't feel like somebody new came to reset the dynamics here. It just feels like some kind of workaround. And in addition to everything within the next 45 days, Sherry Redstone, who has a big ego, can still entertain other offers. And apparently Sony and Warner Brothers are still in talks with her. So one has to wonder where it's all going to go. I've seen a few strange articles pop up about the future of Star Trek, But honestly, I couldn't fully understand what the future of Star Trek would be. I would hope that somebody would take Star Trek and make it not crappy, but I have a feeling that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that all kind of depends on what they're able to do with their current contract with Secret Hideout. If this merger somehow breaks that up, or they
would
decide to
love it.
buy it out or whatever. But as I understand it, Secret Hideout, they got a new contract last year that pushed it out until at least 2026. And so that would mean that it would still be in their hands unless they bought out Alex Kurtzman and Secret Hideout and decided to go a different direction. So
I think that if anybody was smart, then a long time ago they would have done everything they could to get rid of Alex Kurtzman. The fact that they let him stay there and do his nonsense over and over again shows how poorly managed this whole situation is and how little they understand about their own IP.
Yeah. They have wrapped Star Trek Discovery. They're wrapping Star Trek Lower Decks later this year.
How about Strange New Worlds? That's another
season.
stinker.
And then Strange New Worlds has another one in the pipe that they have. I don't think they've actually started working on it yet, other than pre-production. But they've got at least one more season planned anyway. But yeah, Lower Decks has already been announced that the 5th season coming out later this year will be its last.
I think Strange New Worlds is an embarrassment. I know some people like it, and when it came out, people were like, "Why are you criticizing it? It's such good Star Trek. It's the best, under the Kurtzman era." And I tried watching maybe 2 episodes of it, and I just didn't feel it was Star Trek. I mean, if you look at that and you think it's Star Trek, that's perfectly fine. Yeah. It wasn't. It didn't seem like that to me. It sounded like it seemed like, really crappy nonsense. To me.
The first season I thought was passable. It was definitely more misses than hits on the episode.
Not even for me. I watched the first 2 episodes. One night I had to sort of pass some time and I put it on in the background. And I watched a few episodes late at night and I was really, really disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not surprised. Like I said, it was definitely more hits than misses. It did not, I think, do a great job of being Star Trek in the classic sense. I mean, you had some just ridiculous things going on in that show. The captain has an enormous suite with he's cooking for his crew all the time, and they talk back to him. There's no chain of command whatsoever. I don't like the way that they treated Spock in that show, especially going into the 2nd season. I did watch all the way through the 1st season. I didn't love it, but I did enjoy a few of the episodes, even though they killed off who I thought was one of the most interesting characters, which was their engineer, who was an Andorian named Hemmer, who I thought was one of the most interesting characters. They killed him off very unceremoniously.
Dang.
And then in the 2nd season, it was just a complete dud. Even before we got to awful things like the musical episode. So, yeah, that one cannot go away fast enough. I'm glad Lower Decks is gone. Picard is gone. I do enjoy Lower Decks, but I'm weird. I like the humor is fun. And I like that the writers of that show actually do care about Star Trek. They're actually the Star Trek nerds. They push them off onto the animated show. And then they do have another show, Prodigy. I think that moved to Netflix, but that's still under production with Secret Hideout as well. So
they don't really have much going for them then with Star Trek, except for the shows that aren't really Star Trek.
Yeah, no. Well, that's all they've had for a while. See, what else did Paramount Plus have? Did they have? Was Yellowstone on Paramount Plus?
Yeah, and even that's gone to shit because Kevin Costner is not coming back for the final season.
Dang.
Yeah, he's not going to come back for the last. I guess it's the last half of the final season or something. He's not returning. But yeah,
I think it's a huge mistake on Paramount's end.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the merger is going to go. I mean, obviously, we all hope. I mean, Paramount is a long-standing company in Hollywood, and they've made a lot of great films. They've had a lot of great IPs over the decades. I would hate to see a studio just collapse. At the same time, they need to start making content for their audience instead of just content for China or for certain interest groups, right? So,
Right.
Speaking of interest groups, there's a lot of interesting things going on when it comes to gaming. And this week, I think I saw you did a video on this, Dread, about Ubisoft Japan having to apologize.
Oh, yeah.
If you wanted to talk about that, that would be cool.
Well, there's like one or two things. It's Japan Ubisoft is saying sorry, and they're like deeply sorry, they say, for taking a banner from a rifle corps that's been established in Japan for a long time. They kind of just ripped the flag or the flag banner straight up and just put it in their game without any real permission. And then they were like reached out to, and so they apologized. And I guess the rifle corps, it's been out there for a while, accepted the apology, but a lot of people are just saying that the apology is forced and they don't really care. An argument can be made for that, but that hasn't stopped a lot of Japanese gamers from pushing forward with the petition that everyone's been signing. I'm sure Americans have been signing it too, but it's reached like 75,000 signatures. I don't think it can really do anything in the long run because the petition is made to, it says to cancel Assassin's Creed Shadows, and it's out of the Japanese feeling disrespected over these, not just artwork being stolen from, established organizations, but also through the treatment of the historical inaccuracies in the game. It doesn't seem like they're really trying, because the argument is that Ubisoft, it's got a lot of fictional stuff in it too, but they've always been known to try and match that with as historically detailed games as they possibly can make. At least back in the day, they don't really try anymore, and it seems like that trend is continuing into Shadows. That apart from them also feeling that it's really inappropriate to have this giant, strong black dude slaughtering a bunch of Japanese people, because it's not just that you can slaughter a whole bunch of Japanese enemies in the game, but also the innocents walking the very streets, and and they're all bowing to you as well. So that, along with just a whole bunch of things that they're messing up with the collector's editions, the puzzle boxes they're sending people with their linguistic mistakes. And there's just so much about this game that's messed up, but they're probably going to push it through anyway, because they're like, well, our pre-orders are strong. But they want to send a message and kind of make it, the Japanese are trying to send a message that, they're not really as down with this as Ubisoft is trying to say. All their YouTube videos have been ratioed to hell and back. It's not just the Japanese that are mad with it. Americans are mad with it. Canadians are mad with it. Just whoever you can think of. A lot of them are just making fun of this game now. And the funny thing is that this game kind of has to succeed. I think Ubisoft is banking a lot on this to be a success. So
they're
definitely
deep in it, money wise.
Yeah. And with the marketing and all these people working from the outside to try to change Wikipedia to reflect it, like Wikipedia is like a done deal. I remember when it barely had Wikipedia barely had anything about Yasuke, and then they had the retainer information come up, and then a whole bunch of people have been trying to change it constantly, and now Wikipedia has seemed to settle on Samurai for the description of Yasuke. And like the whole thing is chaotic, and they've locked changes, I believe, so you can't even change it anymore.
And there is no evidence whatsoever that he was ever a samurai. He's mentioned in a couple of texts from the time period. He was essentially a sideshow. He was a servant who worked for that particular daimyo, and he was there because he was a curiosity. He was not a samurai. He was not trained in the ways of the samurai. He was given a short sword, which is what you would give someone who is in the service of their master. He was not trained as a samurai. So they have done all of these Assassin's Creed games before that happen in historical time periods, but your antagonist has never been an actual human that had lived at that time. It's never been a real person historically who you could go back and find. They may have interacted with people who were historical figures, but never an actual historical figure. So this time they choose to make it a historical figure and then completely botch who that historical figure was, which is bizarre. And, it's funny too, because we've had other Japanese games that were made by Western studios.
Right.
You had Ghost of Tsushima that initially got some pushback from the Japanese. We don't want to see a Western studio making a Japanese game, whatever. And then initially was very well accepted by many of people in that community because it was respectful. And it, really tried to represent that particular time period of what was happening, in Tsushima in that time during the Mongol invasion and everything. So it's just, it's fascinating how tone deaf they have been regarding this whole thing.
Yeah, it is tone deaf. It's also like gameplay deaf too, because they have gameplay that shows like years behind. Like I'd say Assassin's Creed Odyssey level combat, and it's like how there's a parry system in Ghost of Tsushima. Like that game has done combat amazing, by the way.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. I go back to it all the time just because it's really really satisfying to play and fight. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great game. Well, in this new game, this Assassin's Creed Shadows game, every parry and every block is slowed down, very, very accessibility friendly.
Oh, geez.
And you slow it down until you press the button right, and then you go back into a fluid animation, and then all the combat just looks stickly and weird, and it just looks unfinished. It's just not looking too good.
Do you think at some point it'll look better?
Maybe, but the combat, I don't think so. Not much better. I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to complain about the gameplay. Maybe the world will look nice, but a lot of people are going to be talking about Yasuke's gameplay. I expect we're going to see some weird quests in there, or at least some strange depictions somewhere in the game, like either on the walls or in the story dialogue, because of that expert they hired. Who does research in transgenerational sex stuff, and she's like an LGBTQ plus activist. I don't even remember her name. I always forget it, even though I read it. And then she wants to challenge the moral boundaries of same-sex relationships, adolescents, young boys, and all that weird stuff. And those are the kind of people that they hired to work on this game. I know they've hired Sweet Baby Inc. in the past, but that's the kind of content that you can expect. I'm certainly going to be looking out for it. I definitely don't want to play it, but it's strange that the kind of people that they've hired to work on it.
I'm just waiting to see screenshots of Kyoto in the 1500s or whatever, and there's just going to be just rainbow of different people that looks just like LA in 2024.
Yeah,
with neon signs.
Also, to add to your point, R2, earlier when we were talking about Yasuke, I mean, the dude was only in Japan for 3 years, and he was only under the service of Nobunaga for 15 months.
Yeah,
I mean,
a little over a year and a half, basically.
It's not a lot of time to learn the Japanese language, the nuances of it, and the samurai teachings.
And master samurai, sword fighting, and everything.
Yeah.
And then of course we have the other antagonists or protagonists, of the game, which is a female ninja, which again, absolutely no historical basis for that whatsoever. The only mentions of female ninjas are in a bunch of pulp novels from the 50s. It's like the earliest time that you heard of these kunoichi or whatever. Like there's no evidence historically that there were female ninja. So it's
really interesting because her combat is so much better than Yasuke's too. Like she actually looks like an assassin doing assassin things, like hiding and crouching and rolling people into a knife kill or something. You know, actually looks semi-interesting. Too bad her voice actress really sucks. Like I can't even remember what she said. She's just like, "I will do this. Okay, bye." And I'm like, "All right, very awesome. Can't wait." This and Star Wars Outlaws. That's what they're banking on to succeed. I have my red flags looking at that game too, but
yeah, no, I have no interest whatsoever in that
yeah.
game.
Apart from that, I mean, what else is there? There's the former Insomniac writer for the new Sweet Baby Inc. Wolverine game coming out. She left and is now working with CD Projekt Red for the new Cyberpunk sequel. So that's going to be fun. Oh, that's a person who it was defending, like a Sweet Baby Inc. defender by definition.
Oh yeah.
Says the craziest things on X. I don't know why these people say things on X, man, but they do. And so there's a lot to look forward to game wise. So I'm just kind of keeping up with that. There's other drama afoot too. I just don't. I'm trying to wait for more information for a few things.
Yeah, we did see that. That Kotaku had shut down its Australian branch.
Oh yeah. See, I must not care about them very much because you
saw that Kotaku had shut that down, and apparently that shutdown is going to affect the U.S. Branch of that as well, because of various shared assets between the two of them. So maybe Alyssa Mercante will be on the soup line sooner than we hoped.
well, certainly Kotaku's in hot water. I don't know why they thought it would be a good idea, but what they did was all of their data from like pre-2019 or maybe 2019 and up, or I'd say pre-2019, it's one or the other, but a lot of their archive data that they have used for their stories and you know, just all their stuff that they have in storage has been in Australia this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And so they basically have next to nothing at their own headquarters stateside. So that now this company, now the Australia branch is being closed down and shut down along with all of that data. So they're losing almost everything. And this is because Pedestrian Group is wanting to restructure. And so they laid off a bunch of the employees there, like 40 people, a few dozen. So they're all job hunting now. So Kotaku Australia is done. And Alyssa Mercante, of course, you know how she works. She goes online and complains and blames all of us white folk before going on about how lonely she is and how horrible it is that this is happening. So,
well, if she's not happy as a games journalist, I'm sure that she can go back to being a cam girl, and she'll make plenty of money there.
Well, yeah, she's certainly making it known how unaffected she is by all this. So
yes,
she has such a annoying presence.
Yeah, like I know I've seen some of those interviews. I'm just whatever.
She had a Frosk moment that she's like, yeah. She it looked like she was trying to act like Frosk.
Yeah, you know what's so strange? This whole Gamergate thing. It is such a strange parallel to 10 years ago. Like we get the same situation, the same controversy, and then like the same public figures in that situation. So we had Frosk 1.0, now we have Frosk 2.0. It's like an endless repeating cycle. Maybe 10 years from now we'll have another Gamergate or something. Who knows?
Well, the only positive thing is I feel like people are a lot more vocal and really pushing back this time in a way that I haven't seen before, which I like actually.
Very true.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have just had it. They've been assaulted by this in their film and television for so long, and now it's really starting to creep into the games. Of course, they have a much longer development time, so it's now kind of just starting to hit the fan. And I think a lot of people are already prepared for it, and they don't want any more of it. They're ready to walk away a lot more quickly than they were from movies and television. So.
Actually, because we've covered a lot of topics, there was something I wanted to say and I didn't get a chance to. I wanted to say that over the past week, when it was my break from being online at all and streams and anything. I watched a few movies and I saw Sound of Hope, the story of Possum Trot. And did any of you see that movie?
No.
No.
So it's a movie that, you know, for people like us that we like science fiction and things like that, it may not be the most obvious choice in the sense that it's very much kind of it's an Angel Studios movie. It's an inspiring story, and it may not be what everybody likes when it comes to that kind of niche, the type of niches that some people that watch this show or, you know, what we like. But I will say that even though I don't often watch movies like this was a pretty good movie. I thought it was very inspirational, and I mean that not like like, you know, with no cynicism or irony. It's nice that people do something nice in real life, and they're trying to show a movie that has a positive message. Does anybody know what this movie is about, or I'm the only one on that side here?
Yeah, I think I remember the actual story. It's a community that kind of came together to adopt a bunch of children who were like at risk kids.
Yes.
Right?
Basically, this kind of they're like in East Texas or something, in some rural area. It's a congregation, like there's a reverend guy at a church, and all the people that go there, and they have a very kind of tight knit community, and they decide to just go and adopt these families, adopt children that have really difficult backgrounds, that have been, you know, failed by the system. They're in foster homes and things like that. They adopt them all and really try to give them a home in this community. And I don't know. I mean, I didn't know that something like this actually happened. And I thought that it was rather nice to see that people have done something positive. It's not, there's certain people that like certain genres, and it is a very specific type of movie. But even though it's not the type of movie that I often maybe go out of my way to see, I saw it and I was pleasantly surprised by it. So
how is it written?
Sorry.
How's it written, in your opinion?
I think for whatever it is, it's written pretty decently. You know, it's even above decent. I think it's written pretty well. We look at stuff like The Acolyte, where people talk to each other and they don't make sense, and you don't know what they're babbling about. Here, I think that it was very clear what the families were trying to do, and I even like the fact that there were parts that they really showed how difficult it was for these families to try to adopt these kids, and they were sort of their own kind of you know, faith in what they're doing was being tested all the time, because it was something very difficult that they were trying to do. And I think that the movie conveys that. It shows that they're doing something that's not easy to do. It's difficult. You feel the challenge. It doesn't sugarcoat it. The only thing that I may say is that if I look at it after the fact, there are certain moments that I think to myself, well, they could have shown a little more of this. Maybe they could have done this. Maybe they could have done that. But even so, the overall idea of the movie, of telling this story and sort of bringing this kind of uplifting and positive message, hard to not appreciate it on some level for me.
I see.
Like I like it. You know, a movie that can make you feel something, or even feel that, you know, maybe there's a topic that you weren't so knowledgeable about, that there's so many children like this in the world and nobody helps them. And it's hard to watch it and just completely be like, yeah, I don't care. You know, you watch it and it does something.
Yeah.
Those movies are slowly getting better. I've noticed.
It's definitely something I'm interested in seeing. It's something I'd want to see with my wife. So probably not anything that'll happen right away, but yeah, I'm actually familiar with the story. Because, believe it or not, I have a cousin, not in Possum Trot, but she adopted two children who were drug babies. So they've had very, you know, some pretty serious challenges, but she fostered them at first and then eventually adopted them. And you know, I remember us discussing this particular story when that happened. So that's why it sounded familiar. So yeah,
that's so cool, man.
Let's see if, you know, good feel good movie like that. Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, some people I saw some kind of I'm trying to think how to explain it. I saw some reviews. Sometimes when Angel Studios releases a movie, you see these kind of reviewers that are always there, and they seem to go out of their way to speak negatively and things like that. And some of the criticism was like, oh, this is kind of like a Hallmark movie. But it wasn't like a Hallmark movie, because I've seen Hallmark movies and they don't play out like this one. I felt that this this one had more depth to it. And again, it's a simple story. It's very kind of straightforward, but whoever wrote it had a certain responsibility to try to at least give you the feeling of what it feels like to be a part of that community, taking in these children's, what the challenges were. And is it 100% perfect in every single aspect? Sometimes I thought to myself, like I said, oh, maybe they could have added a little thing here. I'll give you one example. This family, this reverend and his wife, that they adopted children, one of their children prior to the adoption is shown to be, I think, autistic. And I feel like once they brought these additional kids into their family, whoever wrote this screenplay was really focused on showing you the challenges these people had, but at the same time, they kind of stopped showing you what happened to the autistic kid. And I was kind of wondering how this autistic kid interacted with these adopted kids. I was kind of interested in seeing a little more of that. And there were certain things like that that maybe they could have followed up on. But at the same time, there's so much ground to cover. And they didn't do a movie of 7 hours. I think it was 2 hours or around the 2 hour mark. And I don't think it outstays its welcome. And maybe in that case, in some things that maybe could have been fleshed out a bit were kind of glossed over. But I still think that overall, the story that they wanted to tell, they tell it. It is rather moving and inspiring, and a whole lot better than a lot of big Hollywood productions that I see. And at the end, this movie costs like $8 million to make. You have to understand,
that's crazy.
$8 million is not a lot of money to make a movie. It's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're barely paying your crew and your actors out of that.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's like the catering bill on the Acolyte.
Oh, that's the fifth of the catering bill on the Acolyte. But yeah,
that's messed up.
I was just looking this up, and it looks like it was written and produced by a husband and wife team who actually moved out to East Texas so they could actually meet with and learn about the actual people who were involved in the events. So a lot of this probably rings really true to their actual experiences. So that's pretty cool.
Not only that, at the end of the movie, you see the real people that were involved in this. They're there at the end talking, and I think that's kind of moving. And also they show you, a lot of the sort of people you see on screen during the movie, they kind of show you their counterparts in real life, or whatever you want to call them. And when you see all of that, it's hard not to appreciate. One could say, like I said, if you wanted to be nitpicky here and there, you can say something about here. This could have been done this way, and that could have been done another way. But overall, I think that the movie gets across its message. It's a very positive and powerful message. And with $8 million, I can't help but respect what they did. I think a lot of Hollywood companies, studios, could learn from Angel Studios what it means to take $8 million and really get the most out of them.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's my opinion on it. At the same time, I also saw Beverly Hills Cop 4, and I know I talked about another stream. That, on the other hand, was very, very disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I heard, that people just did not like it. And some people did, but it's like more of a mixed bag than anything.
It was a sort of Force Awakens type of situation. They brought enough member berries and callbacks and did things that were seemingly along the lines of what you would think would happen in a movie like this. But at the heart of it, Axel Foley has a daughter who's sort of estranged, and she hates him. And every time they're on screen together, he's the worst father that ever lived, and he's terrible. And they cannot stop banging like on that stupid thing over and over again. Every time I see the daughter, I'm just like, oh, like, and now there's a scene with her getting upset and she's bitter. And then it's the same thing happens like every few minutes. And in my opinion, that pretty much takes down the entire movie. There's a lot of other issues with the story and a lot of other issues with characters and dialogue, a ton of issues. But I think that when it comes to the atmosphere, nothing weighs down on the movie more than the daughter that is bitter and disappointed in her somewhat deadbeat father. That I don't like. And it's really hard for me to get over it.
You lost me at Axel Foley has a daughter.
They constantly have to bang that drum of daddy issues and deadbeat dads and whatnot. It's
I mean,
so
it would have been
out.
okay if, let's say, you have a daughter and she has her goals and you have your goals and you don't always agree and there's conflict. But the flat out deadbeat loser that they presented him as and how much he hated him, it just didn't feel like a natural thing you want to see in a Beverly Hills Cop movie.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know how I said it seems like, or they like actively don't hire people that are fans of Star Wars or Marvel and stuff like that. I feel like all of Hollywood is actively hiring people that don't like movies, don't like writing, don't like storytelling.
Well, they're all very cynical. I think a lot of it's very cynical takes on historical, heroes and archetypes and stuff that we've seen in film of the past.
It's like what we were saying before about the Acolyte. They write what they know, and most of these people, and I know this sounds bad, I'm not saying all of them. I don't want to be one of those people that says all of those people. Most of them are a bunch of douchey little shits, and that's what all the stuff that they write comes out as. I'm not saying it's all of them. I'm sure there's decent people. I've met decent people from my whatever work I've done in the industry. But as I've said on other streams, and I'll just share it here, there were a few years of my life that I would get invited to a lot of kind of rather exclusive gatherings that involved Hollywood people of different sorts. And I always felt that there was something strange. I would go back and forth thinking maybe there's something strange about me or there's something strange about them. And I think that, I don't know if I'm strange or not, but I think whatever strange I have is like a manageable strange, whereas their strange is really, really annoying.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I mean, there's just some feeling in the room that there's something going on there, and it's just a weird feeling. And if you're not really on that wavelength, if you're not tapped into it, it kind of, I always think about this. I don't know why, about the Invasion of the Body Snatchers movie. I understand that movie. That kind of feels like that movie.
So you feel like there's this constant feeling of you might be being alienated, or you feel a little bit alienated if you're not on the same page as them, and there's like that feeling that you get.
They're all like the late Donald Sutherland at the end of of that movie. Like, I probably shouldn't say anything, and what do I know? Nobody. I just want to also clarify, I'm not important. I don't think I ever was, and I don't think any of these people ever really cared. I just happened to, for some reason, maybe even but it was like an accident. I don't know how I ended up in certain situations. But like one time I went to some kind of, premiere. And it was a premiere where there was Meryl Streep had a movie or something.
Yeah.
And you saw, I don't know why I'm saying any of this. I probably shouldn't say any of it, but I will. What do I care? I'll just say it. It's in the middle of the night. Nobody cares. Nobody will remember what I said.
Yeah, we'll all forget tomorrow. Promise.
Everybody's asleep now anyways. It's the middle of the night.
We're making a note, writing down, forget what Price said.
So basically, it was a premiere with Meryl Streep, and then you saw a bunch of grown men running around little kids, all worried. And they're all trying to make her happy, and they're all running around, and some guy is running by me, I guess I knew him, and he's like, "I'm sorry, I can't talk to you. I'm on Meryl duty." And I thought to myself, these people are grown men. Like this is awful. I think that the face that I made was probably not helpful. I feel like my reactions to the weird things that I was seeing in all these type of situations at the end, I think that they led to the removal of me from, I feel like at some point, like in Office Space, like they fixed the glitch.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I just remember the Meryl duty thing, and I thought that was stupid. And I think that everybody that was looking at me could tell that I thought that was dumb.
It's exactly
That happens,
how
man.
I would be.
It does
Happens to
happen.
the best of us.
Yeah, and sometimes there would also be like, I was in situations where it was like these cocktail parties. So at a cocktail party, this is the worst thing, that like sometimes there'd be beverages, like really good ones, and they'd be complimentary. So at this point, I'm being given like, really good whiskey where I'm drinking, and then you have these people around me. Now, I did my best. I really did my best, but at some point it could lead to weird situations, because the more whiskey I drink, I don't know how much, like, maybe I say things that are more honest.
Okay.
I have the same problem.
Which probably doesn't work that well in a setting like this. But but I don't regret anything.
That's good, man. What is a cocktail party like, by the way? Is it like a lot of energy, good looking people, good music? Like what are we talking about here?
A lot of top hats and monocles.
I'm trying to think. It was just like, I don't know. I guess it was in a few situations I was like in a cocktail party. Some of them were bigger than others, but maybe it's like at I'll tell you what it is. These were, I'm more based in the East Coast, so a lot of the stuff that I went to, even though I've been to stuff on the West Coast too, so that's not true, but a lot of stuff would happen more on the East Coast, more like in the New York area. And what would happen is that maybe there's like a bar, a local bar or some kind of New York bar, maybe an upscale bar, and they'd make sure that like a room in that bar was kind of, or sometimes maybe the whole bar was sort of reserved for this kind of whatever event it was. Maybe sometimes it was celebrating. You know how sometimes there's like a movie premiere? Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes after the movie premiere, which is like, even that in itself is sort of a snooty thing. After a movie premiere, you have like a kind of after party. Now, the after party is more like, again, I don't know how I ended up at some of these. It is what it is. But that one is like more exclusive. So then like you're at a small bar that maybe somebody rented out, and there could be maybe 30 people in a room, and a lot of them are maybe, celebrities and stuff. And then there would be me, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I was doing there, but so I figured as long as...
Who's like the most famous person you've ever met at a cocktail party?
Al Pacino.
Ooh. I mean, that's pretty much the best person you can meet.
Yeah, that's,
Dude, that's so crazy.
It is, but it's weird. But again, I can't really say why I was even there. That's the weirdest thing about all of it. I mean, I could sort of say it, but it's not obvious why I would arrive or show up at these places.
I went to, yeah.
What'd you say?
You were catering.
No, I wasn't a catering. I was actually that would make sense, but no, I was actually a guest.
I was actually at one after party, and that was in 2016 December, and there was a special MWR thing. I was in the military at the time, and I got like this free ticket to be bussed out to Los Angeles to what I think was previously known as the Microsoft the Microsoft Theater. It was a huge theater in Los Angeles, and it was a Netflix premiere special for Adam Sandler and the Happy Madison crew. And so they all did a show. I did an after party thing where I just kind of got to be there as like a veteran guest. And like Adam Sandler had a cold the whole time that he was doing his bit on stage. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to cut this short. And he actually did. And then Norm Macdonald took over. And that was before he died, of course, years ago. And then I was at this little after party. You got Rob Schneider talking to people. He's much shorter than I remember. He's based though. So that's pretty awesome. And then, I think I took a picture with Nick Swartzen, whoever that guy from, I only ever remember from Grandma's Boy. If you guys have ever seen that movie, he's like the guy who had the race car bed. He was like the main dude's best friend or something.
Is Schwartzman, is that from Bored to Death?
Maybe. I haven't seen that guy much. I've only seen him in Grandma's Boy.
Does he have like a, I don't know if to say it's a mole.
I don't think so. But if you look him up,
Yeah,
Nick Swartzen,
I remember him. Yeah.
Hold on, now I have to look him up.
He was the annoying friend who lived with his parents in his 30s or 40s.
Yeah.
And but yeah, anyway, Alan Covert was there, but what happened? The funny story I wanted to tell was Adam Sandler was supposed to show up, and it was like a cocktail. I don't even know if it was a cocktail party. It was just like an after party. There wasn't much going on, like drinks wise or entertainment wise. People were just standing around making connections, and then Adam Sandler comes in, and then like all of these people just swarm him while I'm sitting at the back table, and it was actually kind of shocking. They're all just like taking pictures, and this is like in the little tiny room. It's like this little hangout spot, but there's not a lot of room. But all these people are over to him, and he's like, yeah, whatever. I've got a cold. And then he sees me, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was the size of my nose or the size of his. I'm not sure exactly what got us connected there. But on a serious note, he saw me, and then he like just beelined past all the cameras and all the people. And he's like, hey, man, thanks for coming, because I had that stupid little tag on my shirt that said like veteran guest or whatever. He's like, hey, thanks for coming. And I learned later that he had paid like $10,000 to bus veterans out to his show out of his own pocket. But that's why he'd come over, and he'd like fist bumped me, and that was while he was sick. So maybe that wasn't very smart, but at the same time, it was pretty cool.
That was Adam Sandler?
Yeah, Adam Sandler.
That's pretty cool, actually. That is very, very cool.
Too bad you can't sell those germs online.
I know. Well, yeah, I had to. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I had kids, so I couldn't go home with a cold fist. I had to wash that thing.
Yeah.
But
that's still really cool, though. I mean, at least it seems like, from what I've heard of people that have worked with him and know him even personally, I usually hear good things about Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
He has people that he's worked with for years, and he kind of has a certain loyalty to his friends. And
wow.
I mean, again, as much as you can be, I guess, in this business, but I often hear good things about him. So
he seems like he doesn't really talk about today's social issues. He really just talks about the friends he cares about, and if he does something that he thinks is interesting in his day. But I don't ever see him talk about politics much. And his close friends seem to be, based. I keep using based, but they just seem like normal dudes who live their lives, and they don't really get into politics like a lot of other people do. And yeah.
No, and I don't think he's alienated Rob Schneider, even though Rob Schneider has his own opinions, and I don't think he's made him not a friend of his, which is worth something.
Right. They don't let their politics get between their friendship. It doesn't seem like they've been friends for decades. So, but yeah.
It doesn't surprise me that that's actually an example for a guy that I've heard. I know somebody who has met him, and I've like I said, I always hear good things, so I feel like it's not a coincidence. And he seems like a more down to earth guy. I mean, he has money. It's not like he successfully has money. You can say he's a celebrity, but I feel like he has a more down to earth approach to people, which is cool, I guess.
True. He does seem like that. He doesn't seem to like the media very much yet, but who would? Who would like the paparazzi and a whole bunch of gold diggers?
Yeah, I
coming
mean,
up
I
to you all
don't
the
think I
time?
see him every second also going on all these like he's not maybe if he has like a movie that comes out and he has to do like the circuit of interviews and whatever, he'll do it, but he doesn't seem like a guy that every second he wants to be on Access Hollywood talking
Right.
about like all this like, what shirt he bought or something. He doesn't seem like that at all.
True. Yeah.
So that's actually a cool story, man. See, so it has benefits. It's nice that people do stuff for veterans.
Yes. It's just too bad that everybody there kind of looked gloomy that night. But other than that, it was pretty fun.
It sounds like a good event. It sounds like a better event in some cases than things that I went to. I mean, I mentioned Al Pacino. That was nice to meet him. I actually talked to him a bit, and that was really nice.
What you guys talk about?
I don't know. I told him that I liked his movies. I guess I probably just said nonsense that he's heard a million times, and then I took a few pictures with him, which was kind of rude. Also, just so you know that in most cases I would never do that. I'm not like the guy that I have to get pictures or whatever. But I was I'm standing with like a cocktail next to Al Pacino and we're talking. I could not take out a camera and take pictures. Come on, that's like, when am I ever going to be in that situation again? So I did it, and probably was a crappy thing to do, but I did it anyways.
Darn it.
So I actually have a picture with Al Pacino.
Does he look all shocked and confused, like trying to wave his hand in front of the camera while you're taking it?
I'm going to tell you something. This was at a time where, people were starting to take this kind of dates it, but there's nothing I can do. People were sort of starting to take selfies. Like selfies wasn't a thing that everybody was doing. It was an option on your phone, but it's not like everybody. I think that these days, it's more of a common thing. And then I think that I suggested to him that he and I take selfies together. And for some reason, even though it was a thing that people knew what it was, he kind of seemed confused, like he wasn't sure what I wanted. But I just took out the camera and I showed him that we're doing selfies. So I took selfies with Pacino. And then maybe a few months later, he was on TV in some interview in one of those kind of late night shows or one of those Access Hollywood. I don't even know what it was. And he maybe was promoting something. And somebody said to him, "Hey, Al, have you ever taken a selfie with anybody?" So he says, "No, I haven't." So then the guy says, "Let's take selfies together." And then the guy takes selfies of it. And I'm like, that is bullshit. I have a selfie with you. I am the first person that took it was me. I took a selfie with you. But what am I going to do? I mean,
I'm trying to picture a picture of Al Pacino standing next to a tiny Akbar puppet.
He stood next to the Akbar puppet and he seemed really happy. But but it's a great picture. It's a great picture. And I was really, most of the time, there have been a lot of cases where I met a person and I didn't get I'll give you an example. I met once John Travolta. And the thing is that I really wanted a picture with him. But I was in a situation where it would have been so uncool to ask for it at that moment that I didn't ask. And there's a part of me that kind of is I still am unhappy because it would have been nice to get a picture with him. But I had such a great with him. I had a lengthy and a great conversation. And you know what? Fine. I guess it would have been. I may not have been able to earn the trust of having just hanging out and talking to him if I immediately pull out a camera and want selfies. It's kind of a douchey thing to do.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if he asks you he's like, who's controlling you? Because you're an Akbar puppet, like was said by Sean here. I'm sorry, that's been stuck in my head ever since he said it. I just imagine him just hey, you take a selfie? And he's just you can talk. Something strange.
I've seen videos of Price on a boardwalk pier or something. He's just walking around as a puppet.
Yeah.
That is true. But Do you guys have any? Sean, Professor R2, have you been to any interesting event ever?
No, I don't have any amazing, scrapes with fantastically famous people. Closest I would have is my sister. My sister was once. I cannot remember what was going on. I would have to ask her again what the situation was, but she was at some kind of conference or something, and she was sitting next to slightly older woman, and they were kind of talking, and you're from Oklahoma. That's really cool. My family's was from Oklahoma. My parents went to school at OBU. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I've been there. And they kind of caught up after a while, and he was asking about her family and where she was from. Oh, we're from Missouri, but yeah, so my family grew up in Oklahoma, and so on and so on and so on, and she gets to talking about her brother Brad, and all this stuff, and then eventually gets around to telling her that her Brad is Brad Pitt.
Oh,
Wow.
nice.
She's just like, oh, okay. I didn't realize I was talking to Brad Pitt's sister. Oh, hello.
That is so cool.
And she's like, she's like, we don't even think about it. He's just our brother. He's off doing his thing in Hollywood, and he comes home when he comes home, and we get to see him at the holidays and everything. he's just my brother Brad.
Yeah, it's funny. You say that. I grew up in Missouri. I used to hear a lot about how Brad Pitt used to attend MSU, and he would visit his parents for Christmases.
Yeah.
So he was apparently grew up right around the area I grew up. That's so crazy. I never met him, of course. So that was really cool. You got to meet his sister, but that's so awesome.
Yeah. The only other closest thing I have is, what was his, the guy who played Cyclops in the X-Men films. I can't.
James Marsden.
James Marsden. Yes. He's been in a number of other things recently, but James Marsden went to my high school briefly. So because his father taught at the university nearby. So yeah, I know a few people who were in classes above me who got to know him while he was there. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Sean?
Just listening to you guys and your cocktail parties is feeding the flames of my midlife crisis like you wouldn't believe.
Come on, you have to have one time you met some cocktail. One time you had one.
I never get invited anywhere.
But did you meet some weird celebrity somewhere or something?
When we lived in Burbank, there was a grocery store over towards the Warner Brothers lot area, and Kato Kalin almost cut me in line for a sandwich.
That's your celebrity?
That's good.
Christopher Titus, that stand-up comedian, had the TV show. He jumped in front of us when we were waiting to check out and looked panicked that he was out in public. And got out of there as quick as possible.
But you lived in Burbank. You that's the place where you probably would meet a lot of people.
Yeah, but I'm kind of a shut-in.
Yeah.
When I was 15, I was working at a movie theater in Orlando, Florida, and my bosses were like, Alice Cooper is watching The People versus Larry Flint. And I was like, get the F out of here. And it was like almost midnight when that movie let out, and this guy in a tracksuit starts bolting across the lobby, and I was like, excuse me, can I have your autograph? He looked nothing like Alice Cooper, but it was him.
It was him. Wow. Did he give you the autograph?
Yep. My wife has much better stories because she worked at a Williams-Sonoma in Beverly Hills. So she met a ton of people, or helped like Halle Berry or Matthew Lillard try to return like a mixer that was like 10 years old and without a receipt or something. It was a weirdo.
I like Halle Berry.
We spend like 3 years watching all of The Next Generation, and we finished it. And like 2 days later, Jordy came into her shop, and she's like, "We just finished Star Trek," and he's like, "You just finished Star Trek?"
Better late than never.
Yeah.
I do have a cousin who's been in a number of different television shows and films as an extra. She tried her hand at acting in Hollywood for a number of years. So she told us a bunch of different stories about different people she would run into. She worked at a number of different stores while she was there, and she'd have people coming in shopping, and she'd be helping them with choosing items and so on. And then she was in a few different films. Specifically, she got to stand right next to Scarlett Johansson at a bar, and you can actually see her in the shot. She's standing right there at what was the name of that film?
And lightly touch her leg.
Yeah, it was.
Amazing.
It had who was the other guy in it? Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I don't know. It's the one where the guy's like addicted to porn.
Oh, wait. So I remember that movie.
Oh yeah.
In what
With Joseph
context?
Gordon-Levitt.
So she was on that set.
Yeah, she's actually in the opening shot of that film. They're in a bar, and my cousin is standing right next to Scarlett Johansson at the bar as an extra.
Wow. And I want to bring this all full circle, and I'm sorry for people that listen to Midnight's Edge after dark, but because of that movie, I once annoyed Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Because what happened was I was at one of those silly events that I used to years ago get invited to, and what happened is that around that time he released that movie, and I actually watched it. Like I saw it at home, and when I watched it, it looked to me like it would be a bad movie. I think he directed it and wrote it, and nothing personal against Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I had like zero expectations, and I just thought this is going to be crap. And then I watched it, and I thought to myself, you know what? This is a pretty good movie. Like this is better than I expected. And then, much like what you just said, I happened to go to one of those events, and I was standing next to Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So I thought to myself, I maybe I can bond with Joseph, and I'll tell him my thoughts. So I said to him, "Listen, Joseph, I watched your movie, that Don John thing or whatever it was called," and I told him the truth. I said, "Listen, at the beginning, I thought it wouldn't be good, and like I didn't have any expectations, and then I watched it. It was actually pretty good." And he wasn't happy at all with the way I explained it. Like I would think that he would be happy. Like I was telling him that I didn't think it would be good, but that he surprised me. But instead, like he was unhappy that I didn't think it was good to begin with.
Well,
Yeah, Don John. Someone in the chat called it out. It was Don John was the name of that film.
One of the funniest things that I can think of is I was almost a production baby on the movie Bolt.
Is that the dog, the animated dog thing?
Mhm.
Yes, the dog who's supposed to be he plays a superhero on TV or whatever, but he's actually not. And then he goes on a little adventure.
I think it came out in like 2010 or something like that.
Yeah.
You
I'm
should have done it.
43. My brother used to work at Disney, and he was showing me around the studio, and they had a poster board out on an easel, and you just write in your kid's name. And I paused and looked at it and looked at him, and I was like, should I sign my name?
You totally should have done it. It was a good movie to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, our favorite thing from my cousin's time in Hollywood was that she was on a lot of different television series as an extra. Specifically, though, she was on 2 episodes of Parks and Recreation, which is one of our favorite television shows ever. And so we get to say that my cousin was a resident of Pawnee, Indiana. So, yeah.
Well,
Nice.
we're the creme de la creme of Hollywood.
Oh yeah. So, 5 and 6 people removed, but yeah, it's good. No, as a business professor, as a business teacher, I actually get to rub elbows with a lot of extremely wealthy people in the business area, but no one would know anyone if I mentioned any of them.
Nice.
The only one I could say would be Warren Buffett. We had a fellow faculty member who was chummy with Warren Buffett. He would take a number of our students regularly to visit Berkshire Hathaway, and they would get the amazing treatment from them. They would get a trip to Dairy Queen on Warren Buffett's dime. Yeah, that'd probably be the closest, the most famous person I probably have ever had any meeting with.
I see that in the chat people were sharing their stories. True story, I ran into Michael Emerson, a.k.a. Mr. Finch, on Person of Interest in Midtown Manhattan on West 33rd Street, 1 block from the High Line at 11 on a Saturday night walking his little doggy. Matthew Marcillo, do you live in the New York area? Or you just happen to be visiting there? But that's a pretty cool story. And then I'm trying to see... best I got. I don't know if I'm.
Someone said they got to meet James Doohan. I actually have met Bill Shatner, but it was at a like a signing event. So
that still must have been really cool, though.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I mean, he was a cool guy. It was actually a pretty funny story from that. It was a signing event, and everybody had to kind of go through the line, and you got a moment to talk to him and take a picture or whatever. But we were kind of chatting, and he was signing his name on the little poster that they had at the event. And for whatever reason, the photographer took us by surprise. Didn't tell us like, oh, hey, look up here, take a picture. Like, it took us by surprise. It was like, okay, click. And so the photo that we have from the event is of me looking at the camera and Bill looking up really surprised. Wow. And he signed my, I have it right here. He signed my poster, Bill Shat, because he got interrupted in the middle of signing his last name. So
that's pretty cool. So yeah, somebody like you said met Jimmy Doohan. That was Joshua Calkins. That's cool. I've never met him. I've never met William Shatner. Not in real life. Not like in a convention. Not anything. Which is a shame because would have been nice to meet them.
Well, Bill's still kicking around. I'm not sure when that stubborn old boy is gonna go, but it will be a sad
I've
day.
never. Yeah, I hope he has a lot more years. He's kind of defying the odds, and I hope he has a lot more years, but have never got a chance to meet him, unfortunately. So you had James Doohan. I hope I didn't skip anything that anybody was saying. Yes, Price, I actually lived on... Oh, sorry. I actually lived... This is from Matthew Marcillo. I actually lived on Staten Island and just happened to be visiting Manhattan when I was completely surprised by running into him. Plus, he was the nicest guy and had a big smile when I...
When you what?
Mentioned both Person of Interest and the original Saw. I shook his hand and wanted to take a picture, but did not want to appear too forward. Said, God bless him, shook his hand again, and we parted. That's cool. Like I said, I've been in a few situations, and sometimes it doesn't feel good to ask for the picture. Only one that I felt like the fanboy was the Al Pacino one, but I don't think anybody could blame me for it. I mean, the odds of me standing next to him and exchanging a few sentences with him, not only are the odds slim, what are the odds of that ever happening again?
Yeah, I mean, and even an amigurumi little version of Admiral Akbar, you're probably still taller than he is.
Well, in real life, I'm taller than him. But in any case, it was so great. Like, I don't know. Until this day, I still think it's great. Like, I'm happy. Like, there weren't many people that I actually wanted to meet or cared about. So it's nice to have that.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it is.
But on that positive note, I don't know how we got into these kind of like late night Hollywood stories, and it's like Hollywood stories from a bunch of people that like. It's not like we're like sitting around in Hollywood and anybody's like really cares about what we do. It's just that we kind of ran into whatever. It was still nice to exchange the stories.
Never
Yeah.
even been to California, so
No,
There's-
You're
I've
not
been-
missing much.
no.
I've
There's-
been to California like a lot. I spend a lot of more time on the East Coast, but I've also spent time in LA, extensive periods of time.
There was also a day that I was walking down the street with my sister-in-law and my wife, and it was in San Francisco, and we were walking back home, and there's like 3 people coming our direction, and we kept going past, didn't even stop, but a look came over my face, and then I looked at my sister-in-law, and she was like, "Was that?" And I was like, "Mark Zuckerberg? I think so."
The
Just
thing
walking
is
around.
that as much of a billionaire or whatever he is, it's like, who's excited? Nothing personal, but I'm saying like, it's not a
Yeah, who
guy that
cares?
anybody's especially excited to meet.
Yeah. Another one that I can't get out of my head is did you ever see the movie Paul? With the alien,
Oh, that little frumpy
yeah,
alien
yeah.
thing.
Nick Frost.
Yes, yes,
stuff.
yes.
There's 2 like FBI agents. There's like a tall guy and a short guy. The short guy cut in line in front of me at Vaughn's in Burbank, and I will never forgive him. I hate that man so much
Oh,
for the way
no.
he behaved. And it's
No.
just because he cut in front of me.
So one of the
What?
only times you ever met someone that may have been semi-famous, you blacklisted him.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
pretty awesome.
I saw the guy. I think he was on Reno 911. He did the voice of Laszlo from Rocco's Modern Life. Is it? No, not Laszlo. I think he does the voice of Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life. I forget
I've
his
heard
name.
Laszlo in another show.
Yeah, that's a Camp Laszlo.
Camp Laszlo. That's right.
Rocco's Modern Life actor
Tom Kenny.
Carlos
Oh,
Alazraki.
okay.
And yes, he's on Reno 911.
Hold on.
Dang.
Somebody has a question for you, Sean. Sean, you met Zuckerberg. Did you smack him for all the Facebook snafus? Just kidding.
If I had known that he was coming up the street, I could have laid an elbow into him.
Did he look like Data from the Next Generation?
Of course.
Walking very mechanically.
Mm. He looked panicked when he saw strangers. Don't kidnap me. Don't take my money.
Yeah.
I need to continue to ruin the world.
Well, I mean, technically, you probably met the richest celebrity.
Mm. Maybe.
Like Mark Zuckerberg is
Well-
extremely rich. He has a just insane amount of money,
Well,
more than any of the names of all the people we mentioned here. But
R2,
somehow,
R2 had a pretty good one. I forget
Yeah.
who he said.
Yeah.
well, Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
That's true.
Crazy wealthy people. Yeah, I have an old friend of mine who lives in Texas, and his kids have do regular play dates with a nearby neighbor who works for SpaceX and has regular meetings with Elon Musk.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
well, what secrets can we know tonight?
He doesn't like Elon very much. I can tell you.
Ah, gotcha.
I can't. It's late. I keep thinking of new ones. Do you guys know Andrew Daly? He was on Mad TV for a while. He's a comedian.
It sounds
Sounds
familiar, but Mad TV, I don't know. I was always kind of lukewarm about that show.
Yeah, I enjoyed it back in the day, but we went. It was Thanksgiving, and we went to my brother's in Santa Clarita. We drove up. It was like maybe a 30-minute drive, and We walk in the door, and Andrew Daly is sitting on his couch, and my brain just went brrr because he's so familiar looking, but my brain wasn't processing what was happening, and they were just there. I think they met through like my brother's kids' school or something, and they were just visiting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I've always wanted to hang out with David Gilmour.
Sounds familiar. I'm tired. It's 2.
It's the guitar player from Pink Floyd. I don't want to hang out with Roger
Gotcha.
Waters, but I would have hung out with David Gilmour. David Gilmour is just a chill guy, and I feel like I could sit with a guitar and he could sit with a guitar and he'd be way better than me. But even so, like I think that there could be an interesting jam there. For me, at least. I don't know if it would be interesting for him, but for me, it would be interesting. And I totally appreciate that if I was in a situation like that. But I'll settle for, I've seen him perform a few times. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
How's everyone
well.
feeling? Everyone feeling awake, energetic?
This is like this peak excitement. I think we're all really revved up here on the Night Owl.
I know, like as like the remaining brain cells I have slowly die out, you know.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. Well, we can wrap up, but I just want to say that this final like half an hour, 45 minutes, where we all were half asleep and talking, I actually thought it was pretty cool.
No, me too. Me too. No.
It was like, I don't know. It was so relaxed, and we were just shooting the breeze. I have no idea if anybody was listening, but
I was.
I think we needed to mentally recover from the Acolyte.
I think so. I think this is the only way. This was our coping mechanism from the Acolyte.
Yep. We laughed together. We cried together. We screamed together. And now we're going to sleep separately. And that's how the night will end.
Amen to that.
That is true. So on this very positive note, I want to thank these fine gentlemen for being here. First of all, if you're not subscribed to these guys on whatever networks they're on, you should do it. Dread Roberts, he's here on Rumble. He's on YouTube. There's a lot of places that you could find Dread Roberts on Twitter too. Anywhere you have a social network, write Dread Roberts. He has great videos and great takes on stuff, especially in the gaming world.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
Sorry. I said yeah. Sorry.
He agrees with me that his takes are great. That's, but
they're all right. I suppose
it's okay that he's confident in his takes. That's also a good quality to have. He's
sure.
Very modest.
He's both competent and confident,
and modest. Yeah,
and modest. And then next we have the real Sean Crummell. You can get his stickers from his sticker collection on realseancrummelart.etsy.com. I recommend you check those out. In addition, he has his own channels, whether it's on Twitter or on YouTube or wherever you're at. You should check out the real Sean Crummell. And finally, you have Professor R2, who doesn't regularly upload videos to his YouTube, but he is on Twitter active, and he does have his own YouTube channel where maybe at some point he'll do something on, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see.
and whatever the case may be, you should follow and subscribe and check out all these great people. And I'm so thankful that they've joined me. I think that just have a lot of fun hanging out with these guys late night. Not in a soul kind of Acolyte kind of way, but more just like a dude bro type of situation.
We're not creeping on little kids.
No, we're not hiding between trees trying
Soul
to
is.
I feel a connection with a little girl. We don't
Yep.
do any of that here on the show, and we just hang out, and we're thankful for all the people that have showed up. There's people that show up here regularly, whether it's Matthew Marcillo, Joshua Calkins, the Devastator, S. Wilson, 1973. There's also Kivo, I saw before. And a lot of Angry Canadian. Did I miss anybody?
Don't think so.
RTH 989. Joey.
Dude Broseph just arrived to say one thing. Dude Broseph 420. Wait, is that one of you guys?
Outlaw Bill. Commenting is dangerous. E. Clay Thomason. Starlaw. Actually, a lot of great people. I hope I didn't miss anybody. Daisy Blossom, Flower Child, Pennington, Scribelight, Kivo. If I missed somebody, I apologize, but thank you for the people that showed up and even participated in the discussion. Dude Bro Seth 420, I don't know who that is, but seemed to send us like a Leonardo DiCaprio meme doing the cheers thing.
Yep.
How nice of him.
It was very nice of him. And you all have a great night.
Yeah.
We're going to sign off now.
Hey, if you're
And-
watching this later, leave us a comment down below. Tell us all about your little brush with fame. We'll
Yeah,
check.
the brush of the brushes with fame. We want to hear about that. And of course, if you like this video and whatever platform you're watching, you should like and follow and subscribe and comment and share and all that great stuff. So you guys all have a great night, and we'll see you here on Thursday. And until then, bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Ta-ta.